public meeting of the Clark County Agricultural Advisory Commission. It's January 28th, 2026. My name is Mo McKenna. I'm one of the co-chairs of this commission. Regular meetings and public hearings of the Clark County Agricultural Advisory Commission are held in a hybrid format with both in-person and online participation. Please participate in the way that is best for you. For those of you joining remotely via computer, you should be able to see tonight's meeting agenda on your screen. If you can't see the screen and you have joined by phone only, I will be announcing the agenda items as we move through the meeting topics. Members of the public and applicants that have joined remotely are attendees. Other event participants cannot hear your audio unless you're acknowledged by the commission chair or staff and are unmuted. This evening's agenda is planned as follows. We're going to do a roll call, approve the agenda, approval of the December 17th meeting notes, general public comment, commission business, commission priorities, and we're going to have a committees discussion, good of the order, and then we'll adjourn. We're going to start with a roll call of commission members who are present for this meeting. Please say I'm here after I call your name. Zora Oppenheimer.
I'm here.
Amy Treasure. Ruud van der Salm.
I'm here.
Thanks. Holly Hansen.
I'm here.
Diane Dempster.
I'm here.
Mo McKenna is here. Dylan Haggerty.
I am there.
Justin Berger.
I am here.
Kevin Dobbins.
Here.
Joe Zimmerman.
Present.
Matthew Cornwall. Isaiah Irish.
I am here.
And Tyler Berenson.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum, y'all. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? And please make sure to say your full name when making a motion.
Joe Zimmerman, so moved.
Can I get a second?
Tyler Berenson, second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thanks, Zora, we gotcha. All right, the agenda's approved. All right, next up, I will take a motion for approval of the December 17th meeting notes.
Ruud van der Salm, motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Holly Hansen will second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion passes. We will now take public comment on any items that are outside the public hearing items. We will begin with attendees in the room with any. Please approach the microphone if you would like to make a comment.
We have one person in the room that wants to make a comment. If you could identify yourself, and you can just use that mic in front of you.
Tyler Castle, in this purpose, Clark County Executive Horse Council. I'd ask this commission and the county as a whole to be sure to engage equestrian stockholders or stakeholders in the county. Equestrians present $100 million of economic impact in Clark County. Washington State, the feds consider horses an agricultural business, especially when it's rearing, training, and selling of horses. So they have not fallen in that ag realm as much as they should. And there are serious problems with this because of with code and permitting issues that equine businesses have to go through that a lot of other ag businesses don't. And these are businesses that are paying state taxes and have been business for decades. And it's pretty well known that this entire century there have been code enforcement issues with equine businesses. And as far as I know, there are 0 equine facilities that have actually navigated the permit process. and only one equine event center, the Saddle Club, that has. So it's a clear issue, and all of the equestrians in Clark County are concerned about it, and they're willing to work to find a reasonable solution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room? Nobody in the room. So
All right. Do we have anybody online who wants to make a comment?
I see Jude had her hand raised, so I will unmute you, Jude, and try to keep it to 3 minutes. Go ahead when you're ready.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So first I wanted to confirm, Bart, that you did not share my comments with the Agriculture Commission ahead of time?
The comment that you sent is in the public record. It's not been mailed to them individually. I didn't realize you wanted that done. I saw your email. I will email it to them directly right after this meeting. Sorry about the misunderstanding, Jude.
Yeah, well, I did address thank you. I did address the Planning Commission and the County Council and was getting in under the wire for tomorrow's Planning Commission hearing, continuation number 3, I think.
Jude, can you
And-
speak up?
Okay, is that better?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, I was sharing, for one thing, an archive document from 2014 where the Food System Council was presenting a proposal for the Growth Management Act or plan update around TDRs, PDRs, and agricultural districts. And with many farmers, that was sort of the advisory group of the moment around agriculture and food. And I added some comments about water and with respect to land use and this whole trade-off being presented as housing versus agriculture when there really isn't enough water for either, and certainly not in competition with each other. And the water rights are being transferred without any agricultural consideration, it seems. And while you might think this is Department of Ecology, I think it's land use planning, because we're talking about housing and other uses that require water when there may not be enough. We don't know. I would dispute the recharge projections, just like other people question the jobs and the employment projections and the housing projections. It's all like modeling. So I think we need to do better in modeling what the water situation is so that we can better protect it. In the meantime, prevent any losses and mitigate those losses as best we can. That's basically what my comments, and I appreciate your considering them. And I hope they're relevant. Thank you.
Thank you, Jude. If anyone else online wishes to make a comment, please use the raised hand function. Not seeing any other raised hands, Chair.
All right, that concludes the public comment portion of the meeting. Next up, we're going to talk commission business. Number 1 was just an update on the Planning Commission's recommendations to County Council regarding the comprehensive plan. So let me just frame where we're at. So 2 weeks ago was the first meeting of the Planning Commission and the County Council together, a joint meeting. I want to thank Rude personally for going and presenting our recommendations. He did an awesome job. They asked him tough questions, and he did a great job answering them. So thank you, Rude, for taking that on. We don't actually have recommendations from the Planning Commission yet, because that meeting, the initial meeting on the 8th, They then did a follow-up meeting the following week that went from 6:30 until 10 p.m. as well. And there is another follow-up meeting tomorrow night. So that will be the main discussion. So we don't have any recommendations yet. I did see many folks from the commission there, and I'd be happy to, I attended both sessions as well. And I do think I have some thoughts to share about kind of the comments that we made, the questions, and I'd also like to open it up to others if they have anything to add. I think it's good in terms of thinking about the comments that we provided to the Planning Commission and Council, and if we wanted to clarify any of those comments. Because I do think there was good questions that came back. I'll pause. I have some thoughts, but I want to hear from others first if there's any thoughts or questions.
I just wanted to add that at the last Planning Commission hearing, the Planning Commission requested a work session, which will be happening tomorrow at 5:30 before the hearing on transfer development rights. So we're going to provide a high-level overview of transfer development rights, and I think we have one consultant, well, he was a former consultant, but now works for King County, is well versed in transfer development rights. And this is response to an issue that was brought up by the city of Ridgefield.
Great. I'll add to that.
Oh, Chair, Zora has her hand up.
Oh yeah, Zora, please.
Thank you. I watched all 700 hours of the hearings. What are the chances that that TDR program put forward by Ridgefield would actually go through as sponsored by Ridgefield?
What I think what Ridgefield is proposing is an interlocal agreement with the county to come up with a transfer development rights program with the property that is subject to the proposed UGA expansion coming into the city, and that being de-designated essentially, and the transfer development rights somewhere else in the county being applied to that property so that it will only be developed if there are transfer development right credits applied to that property. There is no program in that document that would require at least a year's worth of work trying to develop that program and getting it adopted by both the council and the whichever local jurisdictions would be applying to that.
Okay, so they were just referring to one specific property.
They were proposing a concept of a TDR program that would include the property that they're bringing in. And I think the other jurisdictions who are also proposing expansions to their urban growth areas, Ridgefield and Camas, have also signed on to that letter. And this afternoon, Center, yes. Council added a work session to consider that interlocal agreement and get more information about that.
Okay, thank you.
Zora, it's a great question. This is Mo. This is actually the point that I was hoping to clarify with the commission tonight, because I do think there was a lot of commentary that because we had transfer of development rights as a program we wanted to look at in our recommendations. I did hear folks saying things like the Ag Commission is aligned with transfer of development right programs. This is something farmers want. And I do want to clarify that there are lots of different types of transfer of development programs, transfer of development right programs. There's lots of different, there could be property of development rights, PDRs. And not all of them actually designate farmland. Lots of the programs would work with existing farmers to put land into conservation easements. But from what I can tell, there's only 2 counties in Washington that actually have a program that are like a no net loss or a mitigation program. And that's the key part that I heard from the Ag Commission recommendations was a lot of sentiment around no net loss. And so I do think that perhaps we want to highlight that to council and to the Planning Commission. That felt like an important detail of our recommendation that seemed to be glossed over in the hearings.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Mo, when you mean no net loss, are you talking City of Ridgefield wants 10 acres, you don't want it transferred to a higher use of less acres, et cetera? You want acre for acre? Is that what you mean by zero net loss?
That is what was approved in the comments that were submitted by council by this commission.
Yeah. By the way, this is Joe Zimmerman. One of the things I do want to touch on, and Jose, if you could to verify this, if I understand correctly, one of the concerns is that essentially this proposal, as presented by Ridgefield and La Center and whatever other cities sign on with this, essentially they are presenting this as a one-off transfer of development rights. Is that correct?
Let's see, the draft interlocal agreement seems to only identify the areas that they're proposing to bring into their urban growth area. There are a lot of unanswered questions that are a part of this.
I'm glad to hear you have as many questions as we do. So, okay.
That's Justin Berger. So I attended both of the meetings. I'll first say I'm a big supporter of TDRs. I think we need something, or else this is just going to keep happening. We're going to keep losing farmland. But there are 2 things that kind of concern me about the way that this was sort of proposed at those meetings. The first is, one of my big concerns generally is if we do this wrong, we're going to make it worse. We're going to cause agricultural land speculation in the hopes that they're going to be a sender or a receiver on the, on that side. The other is, I mean, we've heard from county staff and others that this isn't like we schedule a 2-hour meeting and hash it out and we have a well-formed TDR program by the end of it. This is a very complicated program that's customizable by county. There's not one thing that fits everyone. And so though I'm in strong support of TDRs, I think my worry is that we don't do something about it in this comprehensive plan and then it gets dropped and we bring it up again in 10 years. I don't want that to happen, but I also don't want us to rush to form something, lose the land, or that this is used as some sort of loophole that we don't understand, like what happened when the Costco was built.
Yeah.
So I think that's my concern generally is like TDRs, I'm all about it. I do think long-term that makes sense, but the devil's in the details and we're not going to get through that quickly. The other thing too, and I'm as far from an attorney as you can get, but the way that I understand what was proposed is, the way I would describe it is like, trust me. Like, we're going to take this land, we're going to put it into this sort of holding. and then we'll work out all the details later. Don't worry, it's going to work out. I've tried really hard to understand the rules around the Growth Management Act. I could be wrong about this, but I don't think that you can de-designate land as part of the update that happens. You have to do it as part of this plan. And so my worry is that we're going to say, sure, let them de-designate that land. We'll hash out all the details later. The details either are not hashed out, or it ends up causing more speculation of agricultural land, and we're in a worse place. So all that to say, like, I'm for it, but it's got to be done right. And I just don't know, given we're already past the due date, is that possible? I've heard a year is what it takes to define this properly. I just want to make sure that people are cognizant of that.
Right.
That I don't think you're going to get through a work session and define a TDR program. So that's kind of my take.
Other thoughts from folks that were engaged in either of those planning commission meetings?
I see Zora's hands up again.
Yeah, sorry. Since I asked the question, I just will sort of close the loop of, I asked what the likelihood of this moving forward was, because my concern is I don't want our recommendations sort of bastardized into us rubber stamping what Ridgefield put forward, because, and you guys have said that, you said that well, Mo, but also I think it's really inappropriate for a completely not neutral party to spearhead this process. And I don't know what the process is for us putting that on record or making that, sort of an official asterisk to our recommendations of, hold up, we want a discussion and we want this to be done right, not just the jurisdiction that is going to potentially benefit from this to put this forward.
This is Joe Zimmerman again. Zora, I totally understand. I'll say this is that, first of all of us here are more than likely, in agreement about that exact thing. I'm sure that that's the $1 million question is, what's the opportunity, or what's the possibility of them, getting it through the, is it planning commission, and then of course through the council as well. But I can tell you this, of course, you said that you sat through what was it, Zora, 140 hours of meetings? Anyhow, I was only at the second one, and it sounds like there is enough public support that, that we, well, at least I would hope, we'd be able to catch that before it got pushed through, that shall we say, that poor version of a TDR got pushed through. At least I would hope that people are smart enough on that one. So anyhow, I know that there's a lot of people watching it, and I guess that's all I have to say.
Okay, Diane Dempster. I was at both planning commission hearings, and the concern that I felt was that people were talking about the agricultural land not being valuable as agricultural land and not being farmable. And I think that that's something that really could be disputed, and it seemed more like a tactic in order to be able to sell their property at a higher value. So I think that's something that we'll be up against. And I also wanted to remember that we had said we would have a 3-year moratorium on no de-designation of ag land. And I think that that's a valuable thing that we could stick to, because it really does say something about the value of the agricultural land that we have here, and that it is It is farmable. And the other thing that I would think about in the TDRs is if we're trading agricultural land for other agricultural land in the county, is it the equivalent quality land? And I don't know how you determine that exactly, but I think it happens a lot that people give up farming in Western Washington on really beautiful ag land, move to Eastern Washington, and it's just not the same. It's not the same yields, it's not the same quality. And so why would we lose really valuable land that's most valuable for agriculture when housing can be built almost anywhere? So.
Based on this discussion, I'm curious if folks want to reiterate anything from our communications that we sent previously, or do we want to just make sure that the Planning Commission and counselors have that document and have read it? I don't think the spirit of what we recommended changes based on this discussion today, but I do feel like the message maybe didn't get through, even though Rude delivered it beautifully. Thoughts?
I had a comment on one other thing I caught that didn't really get through or get disputed, at least in the first. I didn't attend the second, just the first. And that was when they were talking about economic viability being a component of the whole process, of the whole decision process. And I felt like it was missing the whole food security aspect and the fact that ag economies fluctuate and they change and it's not prescribed to one thing. And yeah, I didn't know exactly how it would get countered except for by this group.
I'm sorry, Justin, I was giggling in the background. This is Joe Zimmerman, by the way. I was giggling in the background because you didn't miss anything. No, they purposely didn't mention it. No, that wasn't a mistake. They purposely did not consider that.
This is Ruud Vandershalm. I wasn't there the second one. I left after I spoke my bit in the first one because it was already almost 9:30, I think, at that point. I think the joint council and commission probably got a lot of information to go through, and us reiterating parts of what we told them already is probably just going to go into the mixer. I hope that that Sue and the rest, if there were clarification needed from us, that we would be asked, as we are, that's our task. We're an advisory group, not to say that we should wait only for questions, but with this sheer volume of data that was transferred.
If I could just say a couple of things. I think the conversation and your reaction to what was presented is helpful. And I think just a summary of what you're discussing right now, going back to the Planning Commission and the council would be helpful. I would not wait for the council or the Planning Commission to come with follow-up questions. If you have concerns about rushing something that make things worse, please express that now.
This is Justin Berger. I think there are two things I'd like for us to make clear as a commission. The first is that if or when we develop a TDR program, it should be countywide. It shouldn't be specific to a city. The other is that we shouldn't de-designate land and with the hopes of a TDR program existing at some point in the future. I think those two are sort of core to my concern. If we had a countywide TDR program, then it's not tailored to some specific city and what they're looking for specifically. And then the other is that the sort of interlocal agreement method is really scary to me, because you're essentially saying we're going to de-designate the land because you have to do that as part of this comprehensive plan update. And then we'll figure out the details later. Like, we need to figure out the details before we de-designate land. And so to me, I'd love for us to say succinctly as possible, needs to be countywide, and we shouldn't be de-designating the land in the hopes that eventually we'll figure out a way to have a TDR program.
Holly Hanson, 100% agree with what Justin just said. I think we need to put that in a clear statement, bullet pointed, and deliver it.
Kevin Dobbins. I've been away. I haven't been able to attend everything. I'm not up to speed, but you talk about transfer development rights. Something to look at is the way they do wetland offsets now. The county has that program. Everybody's familiar with it. You know, as it sits, if there's X amount of acres they want that's wetland, they can move it over here for mitigation, et cetera. You know, that's done on, I think, on a value system where, you know, somebody says this is a lesser quality and you improve it to better quality, et cetera. But that's a format that exists. And if you could use something like that, you know, as an outline, it might be worthwhile to piggyback that.
I got a backup.
There you go.
Simone McKenna, I did some research on programs in various counties just to understand kind of what was working, what didn't. Some programs that were looking at like more of a open market offset system actually lost a lot of farmland. And so I do think this is just like, we have to understand these programs in detail. Kitsap actually added in 24-25 a new component of their plan that it is a no net loss program where you actually have to swap in land because their TDR program was actually like causing rapid loss of farmland. So I do think it's important to potentially communicate that the goal is no net loss. And if that's not the goal that we want to communicate, I think we would need to discuss that as a commission, because that's what went into our initial plan.
Kevin Dobbins again. I see what you're saying, Mo, but I at a zero net loss without any parameters around quality. I could pull 20 acres out of Ridgefield that's flat and usable and swap it acre for some trash in a canyon somewhere that's
Totally.
wetland, and I can't do anything with it anyway.
And Kitsap does have requirements around quality, and they actually have a pretty interesting program. I was reading about it. If an acre is de-designated, they have to look for an adjacent acre of similar quality to designate. And if there's no adjacent acre, then they do a 3-for-1 swap. So there's 1 acre de-designated for 3 acres that are designated. It's based on quality. So that's an interesting program. The other county that has an interesting program is Snohomish. It's called the FEED program. And they actually proactively go after land that should be designated. Like it is high quality, it has a water right, whatever. And then they use that as their basis. Because I think one of my main concerns with what Ridgefield put forward and this idea of de-designating first is that actually locks up that land for 10 years of sunset and like before that would sunset. And there's where these markets fail is where you have kind of no market for it, right? There's phantom credits out there. And it locks up that land, right? It can't really be developed until the market is there. It's not really going to be used for farming. It's going to be held by somebody as an investment. And then the issue with it is that if there's enough density actually in that region and enough capacity, which the model says that there is enough capacity in Ridgefield and that they don't actually have to expand, which is why staff didn't recommend that this land go into their urban growth area, then it just doesn't get developed for 10 years, right? It just locks it up, and what's the point? Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's it's my issue with the plan, but also like these plans are super complex. And when I was reading about it, I was like, oh my gosh, there's potential of so much negative consequences. But I do feel like communicating the no net loss feels important to me in addition to the other things that Justin had mentioned.
Right.
I'll stop.
Are you done? Okay. This is Joe Zimmerman again. One of the things I wanted to mention, this actually goes back to a discussion, from, about 15 years ago. Well, 2014, I guess is, most of you guys might know that my dad was involved in an awful lot of those meetings. You remember those late nights, don't you, Jose? Yeah, you do. Anyhow, although, keep in mind, I was not actually there. I've, kind of been informed about a lot of those stuff. And I know that, that's the difference between a simple TDR and a much more involved TDR is, all of the variables. What do you want to consider to be a variable? What is a variable that you want to, let's say, reward a developer? Okay. Oh, hey, we're going to go really high density with low cost housing. Okay, great. Okay, your TDR requirement is going to be much less than something else. But one of the things I wanted to throw out there is I realize up until now we've talked primarily about quote unquote ag land, if you will, ag 20. Okay, ag 20 parcels or ag designated parcels. I think in the grander scheme of things, we may want to just consider, shall we say, open space or parcels. And I realize a lot of those are going to be ours, our 20s, R10s, R5s, or even, I don't know, Jose, R1s or, anyways, what I'm getting at is beyond just talking about ag land and conserving ag land, one of the things that I have always been, rather vocal about is, shall we say, the rural nature of Clark County, or the rural, what do you want to say, environment of central and northern Clark County is, I can see an opportunity where we, include a TDR program where we're just trying to, we can also incorporate, shall we just say, open space. So there's, let's say, a parcel owner and they have a 10 acre or maybe a 15 acre parcel. It's not ag land, but it's open, could we incorporate them into the same TDR program? And again, I mean, the devil's in the details, but a situation where it's an open market and essentially they are asked, okay, we're asking you to either de-designate your land, or I'm sorry, de-designate, that's the wrong term, but we're looking for, to acquire the development rights for either 20, 30 or 40 years, let's say, just in this example. What would that look like to you guys? And what would you need on a per acre basis to potentially give up your development rights for a 20, 30 or 40 year term, or maybe it's only 5 or 10. I don't know. I mean, there's the variables can be infinite, but I think that we can come up with a rubric to figure this out, that works across the county.
Just generally, TDRs are in perpetuity.
Oh, are they? Okay. Maybe ours is, no. I was going to say, maybe ours aren't, but no, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
What else is on folks' mind?
This is Justin O'Day. I was going to mention one thing that I mentioned to Sue way back at the beginning is the idea of possibly doing some of these meetings as maybe part like educational, because there's a lot to grasp. You know, like TDR 101,
Totally.
for instance. Bringing in outside speakers, for instance, even like within, like you did a bunch of research and you could present it.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm not sure if this is the right time, but we've talked about ag land and we've talked about right to farm and county code. Have we had any discussion on what to do with the product if we actually farm this? I mean, there's nowhere to sell anything. The grain elevators are gone, Great Western Malting's gone, the packing plants are gone. As far as I know, from a commercial standpoint, it's Firestone, and I think there's a apple juice factory. But other than that, there's no commercial market in Clark County. You know, the volume of what you talk about with even with food security. If I could grow 1 million pounds of carrots, that's food security for 2 months a year. You know, the ground's capable of a lot, but without anything to do with it. And the county's done a very good job of running everybody out as far as the packers. You know, I think in parallel with land conservation, you need to have some way to make a dollar from it. And right now there isn't any. You know, if everybody decided to go to the farmer's market, the stuff would be free.
Diane Dempster, I think that one of the things that I'm hoping we can do is working on economic development. And I have made some contacts with people, one from Northwest Ag Business Center. He'd love to do a presentation here in Clark County. And about the kinds of things that have been done in other counties in terms of economic development and developing in the ports and statewide, more statewide trade that I think could really work on. And I think one of the first things that I can see that we need, and this is pretty much off topic maybe, but we, as far as I know, we don't have an inventory of farms and what they grow in the county. And I think that would be a really good start. I think there's a lot of potential for different new kinds of investment and new kinds of opportunities and people that are willing to come and like Mike Peroney from Northwest Ag Business Center is ready to come talk to us or any other body, and planning an informal meeting with him for February 26th here in Clark County. That wouldn't be part of the council, but would be open to all farms. So I think that's one of the committees I'm hoping that we can establish here is that piece of the puzzle. So.
This is Justin Berger. Just one sort of comment on that. I think Joe actually gave a really good public testimony as part of the Building Commission joint session they had last week. So I'll sort of paraphrase my understanding of what Joe said, which is like there's a lot of different, when we say farmers or farms, there's a lot of different sizes and shapes. There's folks that are ultra profitable as a 1 or 2 person business. I farm an acre. My issue isn't market. My issue is like whatever I sell out of immediately. So I just kind of wanted to point that out, that like on the high end, absolutely, and we should be talking about it, but there's a pretty diverse group of us here that have very diverse business models as well,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Actually, and Kevin, I think for those who don't know, Kevin and I have known each other for quite a few years, so he knows that this is not a comment to him or at him in any way, shape, or form. The person he should be sitting next to is Justin O'Day over there, who did his, what was it, your doctoral research in grains, specialty grains? Yes, no? Isn't that what you did? I know when you were in East, when
I
you're.
did work on specialty grains.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And so as a grain farmer, yourself and Tyler, you should be working with, and you guys know, of course, this is just a offhand comment. You should be working with Justin about instead of raising, wheat, corn. Who raises corn here, Tyler? Anyhow, but to be working on specialty grains, that go to specialty distilleries and or bakeries and stuff like that. Obviously, not just a dumb comment, but that's the kind of mentality that we probably need for Clark County, because you're right. The idea of having a huge grain a huge grain elevator here in Clark County, not really probably not going to happen ever again. But to do specialty grains out of Clark County, I think would be freaking phenomenal. Yeah.
To that, Joe, we're actually working with Lewis County. They're building a grain elevator. We just put the first 500,000 pounds in it,
Excellent.
or 500,000 tons, or excuse me, 500 tons. It's been a long day.
Numbers.
But all those are doable.
Yeah.
But in this county are impossible.
Yeah. No,
And it's not grains. I mean, we're a farm, we're in business.
Yeah.
If growing berries was profitable, then again, we'd go back to that. I mean, at one point in time, we were kicking out almost 1 million pounds a day.
Sure.
You can't give them away right now. Nobody wants to buy them. So we don't grow them. We still receive and handle about 1 million pounds a year, just to keep that market alive. But, I'm sitting on 600 fallow acres with nothing profitable to grow on it. I'd grow anything. Again, we're in business. I don't, and I get people come to me and ask what they could grow or this or that. And the best advice I could get them is buy a mower, sit on it. And that scares me.
Yeah.
To save farmland, and the scope of tomorrow is different than today. It always will be.
Yeah.
But this county's getting farther and farther away from a market that will handle its land capacity. And I think that's a serious issue that needs to be resolved along with the land itself. If we're kind of the dog that caught the car, if we're sitting on this many thousands of acres of things and we recommend that saved, we have to find a place for it to go.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to be rude in the farmer's market thing.
No, of course.
But, if half the acreage that's in ag right now was farmed, what in the world do you do with that?
Right. It was in this very meeting here that I brought up here a couple of months ago. Was it 2 months ago, maybe, about, the demand in Clark County just for red meat. Now, of course, if you guys remember, what I brought up is, what was it? 41 million pounds of beef is the annual demand in Clark County. It was 41 million and some. And of course, now keep in mind, no, I don't imagine that, every farm in Clark County turns into a cattle farm by any means. But just, that's the annual demand just in Clark County, just for shall we say, red meat. And so I think that the demand is there. I think we just need to get that, we need to find, who or what, shall we say, what group is willing to step up and say, we're going to put something together to be that, to put that processor, whether it's anyhow, I can think of a dozen different types of processors, that could potentially start, but it's got to start. Yeah.
Kevin again. That was actually brought up by James McPhee about 2 years ago. And he went to the county for a slaughter facility, a USDA slaughter facility. And the county bluntly told him, hell no, not in this county. And he went and did it in Cowlitz County. It's doing great. It's not to the capacity he would want, but he more or less had a blank check going to Clark County, and they told him no. And you look at grain handling, you look at you know, the feasibility of what Firestone had to do to build more cold storage. The county itself is the one that's in the way. And how do we help navigate that?
Thanks for this great discussion. I'm looking at the clock. I'm going to try to move us on if we can. I wrote down some things that I heard in this discussion that I think could be communicated to council and the planning commission from this group. I heard we support TDR, PDR programs. We'd want the program to be county-wide with the Ag Commission and farmers heavily involved in the program creation.
Hey, Mo, as Jose, can you just get a clarification on what you mean by countywide? Is that just the county or the county and all of the jurisdictions?
I think it's the county and all the jurisdictions. Great.
Would it be uncalled for to ask for a
Your mic
Sorry.
still?
Yeah. Would it be uncalled for to ask for a vote just to see as a unit if we are in agreement on that?
Could I do a quick summary and then maybe we go down and do a vote by vote, agreeing with what we want to communicate? Is that okay? Okay. So I heard countywide and all jurisdictions program, that the Ag Commission and farmers are heavily involved in program creation. No de-designation prior to a program being in place. No net loss, and that we need economic development and county support to make our agricultural dreams come true. I don't know how to say it, but to really jumpstart our ag economy.
Mo, could you read it one more time?
That we are in support of TDR or PDR programs if they are countywide in all jurisdictions. That the Ag Commission and farmers are heavily involved with the program creation. No de-designation of ag land prior to a program in place. No net loss, and that we need economic development and county support.
Holly Hansen, what about the 3-year moratorium?
So we could reiterate that we're requesting a 3-year moratorium, and that was on, I don't have it in front of me, I wish I did, but it was on the rural lands that met the criteria for ag designation and are not currently designated.
Ruud Vandersholm, maybe also, because we talked about these are complicated programs, so maybe mention something along the lines, let's have enough time to develop such a program and not try to rush ahead. Again, like Justin was saying, it's like, oh yeah, we'll take care of that. No. This is complicated. We need to do it right. And it's all part of the comp plan.
Go ahead, Zora.
Thank you. I just want to clarify I'm on board with the things that you said, Mo.
If you could speak up a little bit, Zora.
Sorry, is this better? Is this better?
Yes.
Better.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I'm on board with the things that you said, Mo, but I want to clarify the economic development. Is that related to the TDRs? Because I think it's important, and I definitely want it. I just don't know if that's related to us clarifying our position on TDRs.
Diane Dempster, I would suggest that we need economic development with or without TDRs because, like Kevin said, the economic development is the lifeblood of the agriculture community. If you can't sell it, you can't farm. But I think they're two separate topics and that we'll be pursuing the economic development in any case, my thought.
Because we had a list of things that we scrapped from our recommendations because they were not specifically related to the comp plan. So if we're clarifying our position on TDRs, if that's what we're doing right in this moment, then maybe we include the economic development. Not that it's not important. I am 100% here for it. I just don't know and if it's relevant to this particular thing. But please say I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong.
It's a great point. Do y'all want to go through these one by one and be like, yes, no? I would need a motion if we want to do that.
I'd say so moved.
Diane Dempster, second.
So just to clarify, are you going to vote on each topic or do you want to vote on all of them together first?
I would say we vote on each one, whether we include it or not, if folks are okay with that. Unless you want to do it as a slate.
No, that's fine. We just need to know what we're tracking here.
Okay. All right, I'm going to read number 1. We support a transfer of development right or property development right program, so TDR program, PDR program. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Okay.
Okay, that one passes. That we would want a county-wide and all jurisdiction program.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Were you opposed? No? Okay.
Okay, that one passes. No dedesignation. Oh, sorry. The next one would be that Ag Commission and farmers are heavily involved in program creation.
Definitely. Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that one passes. No dedesignation prior to a program in place. I'm an aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? That one passes. No net loss of farmland in the program that we set up.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Can you unmute, Kevin?
And no net loss of farmland, would it be better worded, no net loss in farmable acres?
Yes.
Because that's a very different number.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it would be no net loss in ag designated land was what the program
But
that I was thinking.
there's, okay, I know where Kevin's going with this is that if you look at designated ag land, that's only a small portion of the farmable acres even open today. I mean, after looking a little bit more at those maps, ballpark, I'd say that only 1/3 of the, quote unquote, farmable land was actually designated ag land. Wouldn't you say, approximately? Wouldn't you say, Kevin? Say it again. That when you looked at the map of Clark County, there was probably twice as many farmable acres that were not designated ag land compared to what was.
I was talking more about the other way around,
Oh,
that we're not swapping parcel for parcel, 5 acres for 5 acres. Say you have a 2 acres of wetland that nobody can do anything on that 5-acre parcel, that leaves you with 3.
mm-hmm.
And then again, you're swapping farmable acres for, in turn, farmable acres.
Okay.
Not for 3 acres of farmable acres for 3 acres of canyon, swamp that we now call.
Oh, I see what you're
ag.
saying. I see what you're saying. Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
how many acres do you farm? Or how many acres do you own?
About 100, actually, yeah.
How many acres do you plow?
Of that 100 acres, only about 95, yeah.
That's
Exactly, that.
Those are the
I
two
know-
numbers I'm talking about.
I know what you mean.
What if we adjusted it slightly to be no net loss of ag designated land of similar farmable quality or something like that, or of similar quality?
Mhm, mhm. Go ahead, Kevin.
Justin, you're the guy that studied verbiage, and what are we trying to call this? You know, what does this read in a textbook?
If you don't mind, sorry, this is Joe Zimmerman. If you don't mind me interjecting there, Kevin, I would question this is, I don't think we're at a point where discussing the exact definition is really going to hurt us right now. I think the idea that no net loss is still such a broad topic that I think we're just trying to, and that's why I asked for the vote, was really just to make sure that if we didn't have any, if there wasn't somebody here that was just really, turned off at a certain one of these topics, yeah. Not that it isn't important in the end, of course, yeah.
This is Justin Berger. I think it does matter though, because I see both sides of it. You're totally right. But the ag designation carries protection. And so if we don't include that, like I'm constantly going to be the loophole guy. Like, what's the loophole that's going to be used? And so if it's, well, I'm going to de-designate this agriculturally designated land for some really good farmland over here, but it's not going to be designated ag, then you're actually losing the protection of even that new land. You know what I mean?
I think the designation.
Use your mic, please.
I believe the designation transfers. So your 5 acres over here that you want to build houses on, you're now designating my land over here as ag, and yours is no longer ag. So
I
that
think we're saying probably the same thing. I just want to make sure that what we're being clear that it's ag designated land.
Yeah, because not all programs actually do that. So that is where I'm trying to be really specific. Yeah.
Sorry, Ruth Vandersholm, because I kind of, what Joe mentioned earlier, like we know there's a lot of farmland, not ag designated, farmland that's now our rural. If that's being farmed, personally, I would like that to be part of the net zero loss, even though it's not ag designated land that we're losing, if it's agricultural farming land that we're losing. And so, yeah.
It seems like a lot of this land was in the ag study, and this is kind of where we started, was land that was considered agriculture as part of the ag study. I felt like that's what we were talking about. And maybe I'm wrong.
Should I try this one again? No net loss of ag designated farmable land.
Yep. Aye.
Aye, okay, great. Any opposed on that one? Okay. The next one, a moratorium on rural lands that met criteria for ag designation and are not currently ag designated.
Aye.
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 Any opposed on that one? Okay, and then the final one I heard, which is totally why we're having this conversation, is that we need time to develop a program, right? That they're really complicated and we need time.
No, we can do it in a week. No.
Everybody like that one?
Yes.
Okay, aye. Anybody opposed on that one? Whew, I think we got it, y'all. Thank you to Lauren for taking notes. Okay, she's going to be watching this recording for sure. And we want to get these to the Planning Commission and the Council. The Planning Commission is meeting tomorrow. I think we try to do that right away.
We can summarize it in the morning, have it in
Right.
writing, and is it appropriate to add it to the Plan Commission record tomorrow, Jose? I don't know.
I mean, as soon as you can. They're getting comments still today, so Yes.
Yeah, it would be characterized as a comment. Yeah, from the whole group,
Great,
unanimous.
great. Thanks, y'all.
Yep.
We just keep talking about ag land. That's all we do. All right, let's move on to some more fun. Next item on our commission business is Code Enforcement Committee update.
I don't know if it's more fun. Certainly interesting. So I think it was the day before our last official meeting, our committee with Justin, Dylan, Joe, and Tyler met, and we had a great conversation. And spirit of full disclosure, I have not had very much time in the last month to do much with the recommendations of that group, but it's very important, and I'm still working on herding the cats internally to get that meeting that we set up, talked about. That bullet pointed list that we created that I fed back to you all. I did not get any negative comments back from the committee, so I'm assuming that's still, I'm seeing nodding heads. I'm assuming that's still our marching orders for what we want to work on. Yeah, I don't have any comment other than I have not had the capacity to push this forward the way I wanted to yet. But before the next meeting, we will have progress on this. Thank you for your patience.
Anything else on code enforcement that the committee wants to add? All right, next up. It came up in our executive meeting, this desire to connect with other agricultural commissions around the state since we're new. And there's been commissions running in other counties for a long time. No action needed from the commission at this point, but the officers, we're going to do our best to reach out to some other commissions and see if they're interested in collaborating with us. Maybe even use this time to have some of them come present to us and talk about what they're working on, what they've learned, where their successes have been. So stay tuned on that. In February, we're going to have a presentation on the climate element of the comprehensive plan. Nothing else needed on that. All right. Whew. We are going to move to the commission priorities discussion. As you all have noticed, we have been working really on one thing the entire time we've been in existence. And it's time for us to start thinking about post-comprehensive plan, what we're going to work on. We already have one subcommittee formed on code enforcement. So we know that that will be a topic that we talk about. And I am fairly certain that there will be a TDR PDR subcommittee. Just seems like that's probably going to happen. But y'all filled out a survey, thank you, and with lots of other ideas. And so tonight we're going to just start this conversation. And then again, in our last executive meeting, our officer meeting, we talked about potential of doing a retreat, because us meeting for 2 hours once a month, it's hard to move stuff actually forward. So the idea of maybe coming together for half a day or, even like 6 hours and doing a longer meeting, it would still be an open public meeting. So we should probably think about using a county location to do that, but have some time to dig into some of these topics about what we actually want to take on as priorities. So I just want to get a temperature in the room of folks. How would you feel about spending a little more time together to try to make progress on priorities, strategic planning, forming some committees? Any thoughts on that?
I don't think it's a big, barrier to get us to agree to get together. It really just comes down to, name a day and a time, really. At least, I don't know about all the other farmers in the room, but I know for myself is you pick the day and time and I'll try to be there. That's about all it is, right? Yeah.
Any of our online friends want to weigh in?
That sounds good. I'm in.
Would people prefer a weekend day, like a Saturday? Would people prefer to block out a weekday? Multiple evenings? I mean, this would be a special meeting. We can do it whenever. We are at your disposal to facilitate this. You don't have to answer now. You can email us if you want to think about it and look at your schedules over the next couple months.
What about a doodle poll?
We
with
can
some
do a doodle
potential
poll.
Options, see what works for folks. Cool. I'm not hearing any objections, so I'm hoping we can like get a bunch done in one fell swoop before the season really kicks off for a lot of us. Okay, Lauren has done the awesome work of putting together kind of a summary of what came out of that survey in terms of commission priorities. We took the survey now like months ago, so it's a good reminder of maybe what you said in it that was important to you. So she's going to walk us through kind of the next phase of working through what she prepared, and it'll give us a good lead into what we want to work on in terms of priorities. Oh, and there's something I forgot. Sorry, Lauren. We did talk about wanting input from county council to help us prioritize our work. And I'm curious, Sue, if you have any thoughts about what would be the best way to get feedback from council.
Well, it might be at a council time meeting, we could get something on the agenda and just have an open discussion and direction. There may be conflicting direction from the council members. But you could take it all in. And I would just like to say, I think you guys are doing a wonderful job. I feel like you were thrown into the deep end here with the comp plan update, that you're able to have these thoughtful discussions and come up with specific recommendations are really valuable. So good work, everyone.
Okay. No follow-up on that? Okay. So in front of you in your meeting materials is this worksheet, this rubric. This is just pulled verbatim pretty much from the surveys that many of you submitted. Not all of you submitted a survey, so we'll have some time for you to offer your input as well. But the bolded headings are ideas people submitted around committees that they wanted to see. And then I organized sort of the priorities that people submitted under those committee headings, so that they correspond basically. So this is a huge body of work that people are interested in tackling. And we are hoping that you could identify maybe 3 of your top choices in terms of a committee you'd like to see happen, so we can prioritize the work for the next year, 1 to 2 years. I also want to point out that the Code Enforcement Committee is already formed, so you'll see that here, but that one is pretty much off to the races already. So I thought what we would do first is take a minute for you to just review this, look over what people's priorities were, what the ideas for committees were, and then we can have a short discussion around anything that's missing. So if you didn't fill out a survey or something's come to you since October when you did fill it out, we can generate some more ideas of additional things you might be interested in, and then we'll have you rank your choices. Does that make sense? Any questions? So I'll just give you a minute to do silent sustained reading. Will you hold up yourself for me to take notes? Yeah, I can do that.
Oh, sure.
Sorry. This should be see how many typos I make. When people are looking over your.
It's just like 65. Let's say, break into groups, 4 or 5 people.
Okay, it looks like people are done. Does anyone need another minute? Okay, is there anything, what's missing? Is there anything else, any other priorities or committees you'd like to throw in the mix? I'll take notes up here while you talk.
This is Justin Berger. This might fit into the code enforcement one, but it might warrant a separate committee. And this is top of mind because I visited a farm this afternoon that's been having a heck of a problem with this. So we have the farm stand or farm market exemption. In that farm stand exemption, it has a paragraph that describes some, well, I was gonna say that I would describe it. It uses the word literally agro-tourism items. I'd love for us to take a look at that and give some recommendations on some updates there. Specifically, I know there was the rural events committee that took place some time ago, and I'm not sure that went anywhere after that. There's some sort of conflicting or issues around that, specifically how you define something that's agritourism versus like one of the examples I was given was someone was having company retreats on their farm to do go to their pumpkin patch and pick pumpkins. And they were told, well, that's not part of the exemption because that's a separate business where you're having an event on a rural property. So just some clarification and recommendations around updating that agritourism definition, I think would be really helpful. And I think it's such a topic in and of itself that it kind of spans outside of the general code enforcement subcommittee.
Yeah, this is Joe Zimmerman. Actually, it's funny you should bring that up, Justin, because I actually was just reading the agritourism RCW. Now, keep in mind, for those who don't know, a number of years ago, in fact, I've got it pulled up right here. So this was back in, darn it, 2017, it went into effect. But Washington State passed a general agritourism law. It's actually falls into the RCWs under the category of liability protection, where you prosecution immunity, essentially, where it falls in the RCWs, meaning that if somebody gets injured doing standard agritourism things on an agritourism farm, you can't sue the farmer for everything he owns, because you slipped and broke your ankle in the mud or something like that, or got bit by a horse when you're supposed to be petting a horse. Anyhow, the reason I bring that up is because I was just, for the first time ever, really reading the RCW as it is laid out. And for instance, it says here, let's see if I can find it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just going to start reading the paragraph here that I know it's in. Agritourism activity means any activity carried out on a farm or ranch whose primary business activity is agriculture or ranching, and that allows members of the general public for recreational, entertainment, or educational purposes to view or enjoy rural activities, including but not limited to farming, ranching, historic, cultural, and on-site educational programs, recreational farming programs that may include on-site hospitality services, guided and self-guided tours, petting zoos, farm festivals, corn mazes, harvest your own operations, hay rides, barn parties, horseback riding, fishing, and camping. What I'm getting at, of course, is that, define for me, on-site hospitality services. That's included in that. So in theory, it's one of these situations where where Washington State says one thing and Clark County may not be aligned with that. Yeah.
What's the RCW, Joe?
Thank you for asking. RCW is 4.24 .830. By the way, that's the first part of that RCW. 830 is just the definitions, and then I believe 832 is the actual immunity language.
Okay, so an agritourism committee potentially, hopefully I captured that okay. Anything else?
I would just add that I feel like the TDR and PDR program fits pretty squarely under the Agricultural Land Production Preservation Conservation Committee.
I was gonna add maybe something a little more explicit under like especially the Economic Development Committee regarding, this kind of goes back to what you were talking about, identifying barriers, policy barriers, red tape that inadvertently gets in the way of economic viability. And then on the flip, also trying to identify incentives-based programs that incentivize economic development. So one is getting policy sort of out of the way, and the other one's sort of developing a policy that bolsters economic development.
I know there's been a desire shared by commission members previously about, and even tonight, Diane, about some sort of, farm census or farm surveying or better understanding of what farms are growing or doing. Where would that live in this?
This is Justin Berger. Wouldn't that be under the Community Engagement Committee?
I think that could also potentially go in the ag land protection or economic development if we don't end up with community engagement.
This is Joe Zimmerman. I had a quick question for Mr. Jose or possibly Mr. Bart. Got a question for you. If we ever were to ask the, what does that fall into? Assessor's office? Is there a way to pull records of all parcels that are part of the open space program? Ag open space?
Yeah, so I think I know I've been working with, there's a map that has all of the properties that are currently in the different programs.
Right.
And then I think they also have historical records if they were ever in that. So yeah, we can get that information.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know if that was a possibility or not.
I'm so glad you said that, Joe. Could we add the current use program to the code enforcement committee? I mean, it's not code enforcement, but I do think it's an area that needs attention. I don't know where else it would fit. Increasing land production. Oh yeah, that's great. Yep. Agree.
I mean, if there's a concern that it's being abused or something, then it's separate.
It's like running a gauntlet to try to get enrolled in it.
That's a different, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think we should start with it in the production, and then if it needs to move, because it characterizes the land.
Just blanked out on what it is.
The current use program.
This is Tyler Berenson. I was just thinking, looking at this, the Increasing Agricultural Land Productivity Committee, there was some discussion, I can't remember if Zora and I talked about it, about, is it called Farm Link that is in some of the other counties and stuff, to list land that's available currently not being farmed that may be potential for renting or something like that. That would probably be a good one to push for on that.
Could you say that again, Tyler? I didn't quite catch all that.
Oh, under the Increasing Agricultural Land Productivity Committee, working to develop like an Farm Link, Ag Link, whatever the programs are called, Land Link program to take land that's currently not being used but is productive farmland and listing it and potentially hooking up landowners with potential renters, leasers, things like that. Link.
I thought you were saying late. Thank you. I was like, I don't know what that's. Okay, this isn't your last time to ever suggest something that for this group to work on, but I think this is a great start and some good additions. So let's take a couple minutes just individually to rank your top three. So one being your most favorite, the most important, the thing you think should absolutely be prioritized in addition to code enforcement, which is already happening. So you'll have three more to vote on. So, and second and third being your other top choices. Does that make sense? One is most important, three is least. Okay. Email me. So it's just Zora. Zora, if you want to send me an email or me and Bart an email with your choices, that might be the best way for us to get your feedback.
I can do that.
Okay, thanks.
And Isaiah, I see you had made it back into the attendees for some reason, so I just made you a participant again. If you have anything you want to add, go ahead.
Nothing to add. I've been seeing this. Should I just also email in my ranked recommendations?
Yeah, you can email us. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh yeah, and Dylan.
Dylan, same with you. For some reason, you went over back into the attendees, so I've moved you back to the participants. Anything you'd like to add?
No, just trying to keep up. If this is emailed, I can respond via email if that's getting sent out. I think everything that I see is looking great so far. Have anything to add?
Yeah, the raw list is one of the attachments for the meeting materials on our
Okay.
webpage, but we can email it to you separately as a Word document.
Okay, thank you.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, sure.
If anybody wants to share, if you want to have a few minutes just to talk about what your top choices are and how this is looking, we're going to collect these and then we'll share that back with you so you can see what other people are thinking. And then at the retreat, we thought we could dig into creating more of like a work plan for each committee and getting into the nitty gritty in terms of what the work will be in those groups.
Perhaps you could just have a show of hands as you go down each one to see how many people are,
Yeah.
how aligned you are.
And then our online friends, you can raise your hands too, right? They can raise their hand online. Who is most interested, or maybe say, in your top three, did you have ag land protection? In your top three. Let's do that.
So we have five, one, two,
Or do we want to do
six
like
people
your
in the
first
room.
one? Do we want to say, is this your first?
And
Let's
one
do that
person.
instead.
Okay, first
Yeah.
choice.
Was it your first choice? Just me.
And Zora.
Um,
Oh, Zora's hand went away.
No, it was a legacy hand up.
Okay.
Okay. Did
I'm
anybody
evenly split.
have it as
That's-
number two? Okay.
Yes, Zora did.
Zora and Dylan. So we have five total.
And Diane. Yeah.
Okay. So we'd have enough there. Okay. For the Community Engagement Committee, did anybody have it as their first choice? Second choice. Third
Dylan and
choice.
Zora and Isaiah and Holly.
Great.
No, not me. I'm sorry. I'm still learning how to use a computer.
That's okay. You can just say it out loud if
you.
it's easier.
So it was a second choice for Holly and Dylan? Third choice? Okay, it was
And
a third
myself
choice
as
for me
the
too.
second.
Isaiah.
Okay. Economic Development, who had a first choice around that? Oh, yeah, boy.
I did as my first. This is Isaiah Irish.
Nice.
It was
That's
Zora's
awesome.
first choice.
All right, so we have
Zora is sort of
10,
Wow.
I think.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was all our first choice. Yeah.
I wonder, like, this is also one that has like a million bullet points on it. So I wonder if at the retreat, we want to look at dividing up
Yeah,
those
I think-
items into
None
potentially.
of them are the same too. I just wanted you to see when there were
Okay.
multiple people making a similar comment. So I didn't,
Cool.
yeah.
We can tackle that though. Maybe we have groups working on different topics. That's awesome. I guess that's an important one. Food security, anybody have that as number one?
Isaiah.
Isaiah, is that your number one? Food security?
No, I'm sorry. Is my hand still raised?
Yeah, but that's okay.
Did anybody have it as number two? Anybody have it as number three? Joe, Diane, I'd be curious about what Matthew would be interested in that one.
Zora had it as 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got it.
Funding committee? Anybody have it as number one? Number two? Anybody listed as number three? Rude.
And Chair, we might, it could, if it makes sense, we could combine development and outreach together. They kind of
Yep.
go hand in hand. That could be talked about at the retreat.
Agree. Increasing agricultural land productivity. Did anybody have it as number one? Rude and Justin's giving a kind of. Anybody have it as number two? All right. Anybody have it as number three? Okay. And then code enforcement, we already have a committee. Does anybody want off that committee? 1 month in. You're stuck. No, seriously, you are, if it's not a fit, we can move you to something else. And then events and agritourism.
I guess that's going to be my 4.
Who wants to do events and agritourism? Justin. Justin's on every committee. I would be on that if we need to have someone.
Well, and I'm sure as we, by the way, Joe Zimmerman again. I'm sure that, we could call it the agritourism committee, but I can envision it going, about 6 different ways,
Yeah.
covering, 5 or 6 major topics with that. Yeah.
Yeah, you could put that in economic development too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a thought on one thing. This is Justin O'Day. For instance, something that might be really inherent in like the code enforcement committee is like what Justin was doing, was looking for loopholes, like proofing. And like when I was on the rural event center task force, the last meeting I went there and I tried to poke holes in what was being proposed. And maybe it's included in the committees, but maybe it's sort of like a subcommittee that comes together, and after a committee comes up with a policy type proposal or an idea and tries to basically see how it could be gamed and see how it could be improved and more proofed. So.
Fun. We have some work to do. Anything else, Lauren, that you wanted us to do on this? You have what you need?
Just hand me your piece of paper before you leave, please. Or make sure it doesn't get recycled before I get my mitts on it. Thanks.
All right. And when they send us ideas for a retreat, please take the survey. Okay. We're going to move on to go to the order portion of the meeting. Topics for future meetings from commission members. Any other comments or announcements?
I have one thing. This is Bart. I have been asked to sit in on the meetings for the America 250 commit Washington and then the local Clark County version of it. And I just wanted to let everybody know that America 250 events, they're not actively planning anything themselves, but what they have is access to a toolbox from the state and national level groups, so that anyone who is interested in materials or coordination or networking with other groups to do something having to do with the 250 celebrations, they're the ones to do it. So if at any of your farms or any of your networking events or anything like that, we are tied directly into Brad Richardson at the museum and the folks that are working on it. So you can come directly to me or directly to Brad if you're interested in doing any America 250 events.
By the way, this is Joe Zimmerman. Speaking of, for good of the order, and of course, I'm looking right here at the possibility of having a community engagement committee. Something I would bring up is, I can think of a handful of events that it may be nice to have the Ag Commission represented at. Thinking along the lines of the Hazeldale Parade of Bands and the Clark County Fair or something like that. And obviously, we've got a handful of months before we get there, but we may want to consider that. Do we want to look at having a booth at the fair or something like that? I know that Public Works always does. Yeah.
It's Ruud Vandersalm. Would I get a float or a horse?
I'd give a very, very beautiful dress.
If you supply the tulips.
Yeah, exactly. Horse-drawn float.
I choose one, exactly.
Anybody else? All right. Well, if that's all the yucking it up we're going to do for the night, going to get a motion to adjourn.
Justin Berger, motion to adjourn.
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Let's get out of here.
Thank you.